Hello BookTube, my name is Elizabeth and welcome to Tuesday Talks. If you did not know, Tuesday Talks is a Goodreads group and I will link that down below if you would like to join. Today's Tuesday Talks discussion is how do you decide to read books? So let's get started. There are a couple ways that I decide to read books, and some of these factors I will combine, and some of them, are just like auto reads for me. So I'll go through the list. If a book is YA, I will be more inclined to read it. If a book is an adult book, it's gotta be pretty convincing on the cover, on the description for me to read it. 95% of the books that I read are YA, and the other 5% are classics, which most of those are YA anyway. The second thing that I look at 100% is the cover. There are so many books that I have on my shelf right now that I got cheap at Goodwill or the library sale or something like that that have not so good covers that I've been putting off reading just for that aspect. So if it's YA and it's got a pretty nice cover, I'm probably going to read it. The third aspect that I look at is genre. Now, I feel like books in general have like 2 or 3 umbrella terms, and then all the genres are listed under that. For example, there's adult, young adult, and I think classics should be an umbrella of their own. Now, under all these 3 umbrellas, there are genres for each one of them. There's YA fantasy, there can be adult fantasy, and there are some classics that are fantasy. Same thing, there could be adult dystopian, young adult dystopian, and classic dystopian. Fantasy being my favorite genre there is, if a book is young adult, fantasy, and has a beautiful cover, I'm probably going to read it. Those are the 3 main things that I look at when I decide to physically read a book, but the things that get me to consider reading a book are recommendations from fellow booktubers, recommendations on Goodreads, seeing a book in the store. If it's got a pretty cover and I see it at the store, I'm going to pick it up. A couple other of my favorite genres is historical fiction, and I used to be obsessed with adult historical fiction, but now I'm finally getting into young adult historical fiction, and I am loving it. An example of a book that is all young adult fantasy and has a great cover is Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. And this is one of my all-time favorite books that I've ever read. It has an amazing cover. The fantastical aspect of it is just great. The writing style is wonderful, but what really drew me in is the cover and the fact that it's young adult fantasy. A lot of my success with books comes from books that meet all 3 of these criteria. I wish that I could find more that meet all 3 of the criteria. I have a lot on my TBR right now, which is just ridiculous. Fallen Kingdoms falls into that criteria. Amazing cover, young adult fantasy. So does Red Queen, which I have back here, amazing cover, young adult fantasy. So I'm looking forward to reading a bunch of these books. But yeah, so that is the 3 things that really drag me into reading a book. But there are a lot of different aspects that go into me looking at books or considering books, and a lot of that has to do with books that people talk about on BookTube. Alright guys, that's all I have to say about this topic. If you enjoyed it, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!